StitchyTube, settle down and watch StitchyTube. Is it allergy season? I feel like it is. I just took a decongestant. We're all a little sniffly around here. Welcome. Hello. Hi. I am Teresa, the Kitten Stitcher, and also known as Shakespeare's Peddler, also known as Teresa Bennett, also known as Mom. And we always say that the cats refer to me as the nice lady. See if I can. It's very, very. We're having a very dim day here. It was really dark this morning. We had a storm roll through, and I don't know, is it supposed to rain all week? Let's check it out. Isn't it crazy that we can? Yeah, so it looks like we're looks like we're in for mostly rain, which is okay. I'm hoping that means that the summer cool down is on its way. So we're here today for StitchyTube number 50, halfway to 100. It's a good place to be. I feel like 50 is a lucky number. What do you think, Zero? People have been asking, like, is Zero okay? We haven't seen him for a while. He's around. He's around. He wants to sit on my notes, so he's going to be held like a baby for a little bit because that's what he likes. That's what you really want, right, Zero? He's good. He just, for some reason, in the last couple videos, he has not been around. All right. Well, welcome. I thought I'd start today. I had a question, I think 2 videos ago. No, wait a minute. This came by email from Charlene, somebody named Charlene. And I did respond to her email, but she wanted to know, like, if I had any ideas for getting rid of stitcher's block. And I think we probably all have gone through this, and maybe not even with stitching, but like if you have hobbies, sometimes you don't feel like doing that hobby. And I think probably many stitchers, especially if you kind of consider yourself hardcore, that you have times where you're just not feeling it. You can't really, you're like, oh, I should go take my project out, but I don't feel like it, but I should because like I have some free time and I feel like I should use that. So she wanted to know, like, what do you do when you're in that mode? Let's see if we can, we'll go down a little bit so Zero's a little more, right, Z? And so I think, you know, stitcher's block is normal. I think we all do it. I know I've had stitcher's block, and it is frustrating because you feel like, man, do I not like to do this anymore? But you do, because we're stitchers. I mean, you know, it's one of our labels. And so I came up with a list of 10. So these are 10 ways to get rid of stitcher's block, or to help with stitcher's block. Number 1 is to have a good sort through of your charts and kits and things. And about once a year, I just drag everything out. I put it on a bed, and I just spend a good chunk of a Saturday just looking at charts, looking through my projects, looking through threads, embellishments, magazines. Like I'll flip through magazines, and you can get really inspired because you're like, oh, I forgot about this one. Why haven't I started this one yet? And it can be very inspiring just to see like what potential projects you've got. And so really whether you have stitcher's block or not, I do recommend a good sort through once a year. It's very kind of refreshing. It's motivating. It's really fun. You can just put some music on and, you know, be in your PJs and your slippers or whatever and just look through your goodies. And so that's, to me, that would be the number 1 thing I would tell someone to do, is just look through what you got and see if you feel inspired by any of it. Number 2 is to set small goals, just maybe to see if you can kind of kickstart the mood. So let's say, you know, it's Saturday and you're like, oh, I should stitch, but I kind of don't feel like it. Just say, you know what, I'm going to stitch 1 length of thread, or I'm going to stitch for 15 minutes, or I'm going to put on this show and watch 1 episode and stitch for that period of time, and you know, just see if I can get going, see if it feels fun to me. I think sometimes you look at the projects that you've got going and you think, oh my gosh, this is never going to get done. I have so much of this left. Like, it feels like I'm never going to get there. It's part of why I don't really like to start things. I have plenty of starts. I probably have 30 to 35 whips right now, but remember, I started about 30 last May. And I've finished a good number. I really like kind of the midsection and the end of projects because it's very inspiring. So set some small goals. That's number 2. Number 3 is watch FlossTube. And I know that y'all have been inspired because I get emails, I get phone calls, I get, messages from people saying, oh my gosh, I saw this on so-and-so's video. Do you have this? Can you get it? And I think just seeing somebody be enthusiastic about their stitching can lead you to also feel enthusiastic about it. You get ideas. Maybe you see some things that you didn't know were around, and so you feel like, I'm going to give this a try. And I don't have to tell you all to watch FlossTube. You're doing it anyway, but maybe just say, you know what, Saturday I'm just going to sit down and not even necessarily stitch. I'm just going to watch. Number 4 is go out and try to find something new. So look around on the internet. Look on Instagram and, Google some shops or Google some designers. Go read some blogs. See if you can find, maybe something new that you haven't seen before. Pinterest is good for that. There are Facebook stitching groups. And so really just putting your eyeballs on some things that maybe aren't necessarily out of your comfort zone, but just are things that haven't necessarily been on your radar before can make you feel inspired just because it's like a new idea. It's kind of fresh and fun. And, give yourself permission to, go get something like that. Number 5 is join an exchange. Sometimes you have to force it a little bit. And I feel like an exchange is a great way to do that. Jen and I, from Jen's Stitching Niche, she and I are good friends, and we both were lamenting the fact a few months back that we wish we had more project bags and we really should make some for ourselves, but we never get time to do it. So we just set a goal that the 15th of every month we exchange a project bag. So I make 2. I make one for myself and one for her, and she does, well, she hasn't necessarily done the same. She's made me a few that I'm the only one. So that's very nice. But if you join like an ornament exchange or a smalls exchange or a round robin or something like that, you've got a deadline, which for some people I feel like deadlines are really motivating because it's like, oh, you don't want to be caught where you weren't done and you didn't fulfill your obligation. Number 6 is check yourself. Now, sometimes these kind of blocks, whether it's a stitching block or you're just not reading anymore, or you had been exercising and now you're not, or you had been gardening and now you're not, that can be a sign that something is going wrong with you. And it can be a symptom of depression, that you have lost interest in things that you normally had been interested in. It also can be a symptom of grief. And I know that sometimes when people are grieving the loss of a loved one, a friend or a family member, that all of the sudden things that they used to really enjoy doing, they're just not finding the motivation to do that. And it's a normal part of the grief process. And it is a normal part of being depressed. But if you feel like, it's been kind of going on for a while and I really can't get back into it and I don't know why, maybe just start to evaluate like how some other things are going. Are you sleeping okay? Are you eating okay? Do you have any unexplained aches or pains? Are you crying for, no reason really? Do you feel sad? There are a lot of things that your body will let you know, like, hey, we're having a problem here. And so then, if you feel like it could really be depression, that's something that you can talk to your general practitioner about and say, hey, I'm having a tough time right now. And, they can help you out, maybe point you to some counseling or to some medication. So just because you have stitcher's block doesn't mean you're depressed, but it could be. So just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Number 7 is get rid of some whips. I've done it. I've done it a few times where I have a whip and I just have this guilt associated with the whip because I had grand plans for it. I maybe even had a really good start on it, but for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling it anymore. I'm not motivated to stitch on it, and I don't enjoy working on it, or I don't like the way it's turning out, or I regret the fabric that I chose. For whatever reason, I'm not loving the project. Now, if you have a few of those, you can really start to feel guilty where it's like, I can't start something new. I have all of these other things that I've already started and I should work on those. And it's okay to say, hey, you know what, I really would like to get these done. But it is also okay to just bail and say, realistically, having these projects over my head is making me not want to stitch because I don't want to stitch those projects. But I feel too guilty to start something new knowing that these are sitting there waiting for me. And so you can, you know, donate them, give them away to stitching friends, take them to a retreat and put them on the giveaway table. You can sell them on Etsy or eBay or in some kind of a stitching group on Facebook. And so I think, and I've done this, parted ways with just some projects where you're like, nope, I don't love it. And I feel like you should really love what you're stitching on. Number 8, are you convincing yourself there are more important things to do? Sometimes it's easy to feel guilty too just about the rest of your life. Like, why am I sitting here stitching? I should be cleaning the oven, or I should be watering the garden, or I should be writing a letter. You know what I mean? There are things where you say like, well, this is what I should be doing. I shouldn't be stitching. Give yourself permission to relax. And I struggle with this. Hardcore, I struggle with it. But you have to take breaks, and you have to give yourself permission and say, no, this isn't optional. This is necessary that I take a break. A person can only, you know, do so much in a day, and there have to be moments where you're letting your body and your mind relax. And so if you feel like you're not stitching because you're putting other pressures on yourself, maybe evaluate like how important those other things are and if they could wait till the morning or tomorrow or the next week or maybe never. Number 9, visit a shop or go to a show. And anybody who has gone to any kind of a stitching gathering, whether it's like maybe just a stitch along at a shop or a class, or if you've gone to a full-blown, you know, retreat or a show, like a big consumer show, it is contagious. And if you did not feel like stitching when you went to the show, you will feel like stitching when you leave the show. And it happens to me every year at Nashville and every year at Galleria. You get so jazzed about everything that you've seen, talking to stitchers about projects. It is really, really motivating and inspiring. And it's fun. And I feel like if you could bottle the energy in those buildings, you know, you could power a bus full of stitchers. So there's Peaches. Peaches is moving away this week to Denver with Harrison, and we're kind of sad about it. Ruby and Grumpy, not so much. He loves to lay with them, and they get annoyed because he has no boundaries. So we will be sad to see Peaches go. Number 10, don't stitch. It's okay to not stitch. It's okay to not feel like stitching. And I feel like I say this over and over again, stitching should be fun. I don't punish myself with needlework. So if you're not feeling it, and some of these other ideas, you know, either don't seem like you want to do them or you did them and they're not helping, just give yourself a stitching break. And maybe do some applique or some quilting or do some reading or, you know, write that letter to your friend, whatever you want to do. But you can't expect yourself to be 100% in it all the time. And sometimes, you know, you don't want to have stitchers burnout. So a stitching break is totally okay. That's my list of 10 things to do for Stitcher's Block. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other ideas, you could put them in the comments below. All right, so last time I had a giveaway of 2 sampler company charts, and the winner is Angela H. So Angela H, if that's your YouTube name, Angela H, you have won the charts. So email me at the email address below, and I will send you your charts. Congratulations. She said her favorite sitcom was The Muppet Show, or it's one of her favorites. And you have to agree. Very silly, good for adults, good for kids. Hard to beat that one. For next time, my giveaway is something that was left from Galleria last year. I got a whole bunch of really cool things, and I sold these. They're little flower pot with a frog on the top. This is called a frog, which I don't know why it's called a frog. Some people use these to store their scissors in, like you can put them in the holes, but it's also for making flower arrangements. It's not an antique. It's a modern made to look like an antique. And I had one of these left from the show last year, and I'm not going to take it to the show this year. So this is the prize. Did I come up with a question? I didn't come up with a question. Tell me about your scissors. Tell me about what you've got for scissors. Like you could say like what your favorite pair is, or how many pairs you think you have, or the sad little school scissors that you use. I have nail clippers that I take along sometime on trips. I really love Dovo scissors, and I know I've said it before. I carry some in my shop, and they're just really the best. There are a lot of nice scissors out there, and you know, cheaper ones and more expensive ones, and some are decorative and some are not. You can see I've got 4 in my block right there. and I just grab whatever's there. I've got fobs on some of them. Some of them have been with me a long, long time, and some of them still have the price, you know, like the little hang tag on, and are more new. It's hard to not, I don't know, when you see a pair of scissors you like, it's hard to not want to get a new pair of scissors. Stitching is such a cheap hobby in terms of tools. You know, you need a needle and scissors, and, you know, maybe you need a hoop or a stand or whatever. And you can get fancier than that, but I mean, those are just the basics. So tell me about your scissors for a chance to win the flower frog, and next time I will announce the winner. All right, Zero, is it time for what I'm all into? I'm all into Zero. Sometimes he makes me crazy. The cats lately have been so lovey-dovey, and they will just, I mean, they're just all up in my business, and I don't know if it's because it's fall. They just want to be loved all the time, don't you, Zero? But we got to talk about what we're all into. One of the things that I'm all into is my rubber band ball. When I had my shop at some point, and it was late in the game, I used to get rubber bands with orders, and I started making a ball. Because I had it, you know, I kind of had them all in a drawer, and I don't use rubber bands that often. So I made a rubber band ball, and then, you know, I left the industry for a couple of years, and I came back, and recently I started a new rubber band ball. And so this is my new one right here. And when I get orders that have rubber bands in them, I put the rubber bands around into a ball, and you just kind of start by clumping them and just trying to, you know, make loops around. One of Graham's little friends once was like, I love your rubber band ball, the old one. I'll show you in a minute. And he went to the store and bought a pack of rubber bands and made a rubber band ball, which is fine. But this, you know, it's like these have come from all over. And a lot of designers, when they're shipping me things, if they're sending me a stack of one chart, they'll rubber band all that one chart together. I get them on threads sometimes. And so it's just a way for me to make something kind of fun. This is my old rubber band ball from my shop. And it's looking a little shaggy these days. Feels kind of dry too. I'm sure some of this will start to, you know, kapoing, spring apart. I've got it on, you know, in one of my displays over there because it's just a memory of my shop. And these are, you know, lots of orders. There are lots of Lizzie Kate rubber bands in here, I think. And I know I used to get some from the Prairie Schooler too when I'd order like Santas and things. What else? Like some of the silks I ordered used to come with rubber bands. And so there are all kinds of rubber bands here. But that's it. It's bigger than Zero's head. I am also all into oatmeal. And I didn't go grab it. But I got the Quaker oatmeal guy, the Pennsylvania guy with the white hair and the weird hat. They have steel cut oats now. And maybe they've had them for a bit. And I like the steel cut oats. They're not smushed oats, they're cut. So the grain of the oatmeal is just sliced. So you get small chunks and not flat like saucer shapes. And it just has a different texture than regular oatmeal. It's not as like mushy. It's a little bit more kind of grainy tasting. And so you can get the steel cut oats now that are the Quaker oats. And they're relatively instant, which is nice because if you make them from scratch, it takes 25 minutes pretty much. And that's a long time to, you know, kind of keep your eye on oatmeal. These, it's a third of a cup of the steel cut oats, 3/4 of a cup of water. They say you can put a little salt in. I do not. And then you just 3 minutes in the microwave at 50%, whatever, power. And that's it. And you can put a little milk in, you can put a little sugar in or whatever. And I'm just way into that these days because I really love that kind of oatmeal, but I hate, you know, half-hour breakfast. I don't have time. No, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, I'm all into Thanksgiving August, which is something my family has done before. Harrison, like I said, moves out this coming Sunday, and he will be going across the country to Denver. And so excited, a little, you know, kind of sad also. And in the past, we've done Thanksgiving dinner in August. I don't know when it started. It started since we moved to Hattiesburg. But we kind of got to talking about how, like, you know, Thanksgiving dinner is delicious. And it's really not that expensive considering how many different dishes it is. And why do we only make it one time a year? So we do like kind of an abbreviated Thanksgiving in August. We call it Thanksgiving August. That was the name we came up with this year. And so I did some two turkey breasts so we'd have leftovers, mashed potatoes and gravy. I did stuffing. I did sweet potatoes. I did the green bean casserole. Cranberries in a can. you can't find fresh cranberries right now. And I did make an apple pie and a pumpkin pie. And the guys all helped, and we just didn't fret about it. Nothing fancy. It was delicious, and it was a real nice meal, and it was a good time for the family to get together. So feel free to borrow that. Thanksgiving August. There's still a week left or so of August, right? 0. The cats love turkey, so they love Thanksgiving August too, right? Okay, my percussion massager. So I remembered that I had this recently, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Because, I have aches and pains. And so this is by Liba, L-I-B-A. And it looks like this. And when you turn it on, let's see. It's these little balls are kind of, oh, that feels good. They're kind of rubbery, but it's not a wimpy massager. Sometimes you get a massager and it's like just kind of, I don't know, just kind of like vibrating or whatever. This will pound you. And so if you like, you can do it to somebody else, or you can use it on yourself. It feels great anywhere. And I think we got this on Amazon. I don't remember how much it was, but I'm all into that. I got it back out and I've been using it. It's great. I'm all into my new car. I got a new car. I got a new old car. Is it time for Zero to get down? I don't think he liked the thing. Oh, uh-oh. He's going to choke. He does this. So, what was I talking? My new car. I got a new/used Mini Countryman. Are you okay, Zebo? Hang on just a second. I'm going to pause this. Okay, I'm back. Hello? Am I back? He's okay. We had no choking. Little choking, no hairballs. Okay, I got a new car. I got a new old car. Not old. It's a 2019. It's a Mini Countryman. And I had been kind of thinking about getting a Mini for a couple of years. And they have 2 versions that are more like station wagons. They're not like the old, big wood-paneled station wagons. They just have more of like a hatchback and a little more room in them. And I liked the idea of getting a car that was a little bit more fun than the sedans and things that I've had to be a mom for the last 30 years. I wanted something that was, zippy and kind of like quirky and interesting and fun. And so there was one in Hattiesburg that was on a local dealership's website. And I thought, you know what, I should just go sit in one to see if it's even something that I'm going to enjoy, because I'm taller, I'm 5'9", and I thought if it's really too small, I'm not going to want to get that. And surprisingly roomy inside. And it actually, now having it in the garage, it doesn't seem that much smaller than my Rogue. But when you see it outside, I'll put a picture here. When you see it outside, it seems really little. Like when I pull it into spaces and things, I don't know, it's like a magical car. So anyway, they had a pretty good deal on it. It was a former rental, which I would kind of hemmed and hawed about getting a former rental. 20,000 miles on it, but I got a bang up deal on it. And it's in great shape. So really, the rental company took the big hit on the depreciation. So it still has that new car smell. There's no scratches on it. Leather seats. It's got, like a start switch instead of the key. It's got a backup camera. It hooks up to my Pandora automatically. If I get in the car with my cell phone, it just hooks right up and starts playing music. It makes me feel really cool. So I'm way into my new Mini Cooper. And of course, that's all you guys helping me buy that by buying charts and things. Thank you for my new car. My other one is a Rogue. It is 11 years old. It's going with Harrison to Colorado, and it has 135,000 miles on it. So it really was, I hadn't had a new car for a long time. So it feels really nice to have something new. And it's going to be just perfect size for me and Steve. The groceries are going to decrease, and it's going to be great. Let's see. I'm all into Happy Socks. We went to TJ Maxx yesterday, and I got Happy Socks, which they're men's socks. But since I'm tall, I wear a larger size shoe. I wear a 10. And a lot of times women's socks are just a little bit too short. And I like fun socks. And you can get really cool socks at TJ Maxx. These, I think this pair was $4. Yes. And what does it say? Suggested retail is $12. You can get these in department stores and things, but they're very, very, very soft. Okay, so it's 86% cotton, 12% nylon, and a little spandex. But it's really it's a combed cotton, so they're very soft. You can get really fun patterns. So I saw some in the men's section yesterday at TJ Maxx, and I had to get myself a pair. Okay, last thing that I'm all into. I'm all into documentary now. We've been watching it here at the house the last couple of days. It is a series that is 3 years old, I think. There are 3 seasons so far. And you can watch it on Netflix. And then I think you can, pay to watch it on Amazon and YouTube. And I think the AMC has got it where you can watch it for free. I'm not sure. But it's called Documentary Now. It is a comedy series. It's a great idea where it's a lot of people who have been on Saturday Night Live. And so kind of the main people are Fred Armisen and Bill Hader, and then Seth Meyers, who has his own talk show now. And John Mulaney was a writer on one of these recently. So they're really, really smart guys and gals affiliated with this show. And they take a documentary, that they've seen, and then they twist it into a kind of a parody documentary. So like one of them was about, I guess I don't know what it was based on, but it was a documentary about a fictitious Broadway show from like I want to say early 80s or something, or late 70s, called Co-op. And it was just about this like New York apartment building and all the zany things that happened there. So it was a musical, and they were going to shoot the documentary of the taping of the Broadway cast album. But the cast gets news after they sing the first number that the show is canceled, that they did one performance and the reviews were so bad that the show is not even going to take place. But they still have to finish recording it. And so it's like all the turmoil that goes on because all these people know they're out of a job. And so it's very clever, very funny, especially if you like to watch documentaries. You see a lot of familiar motifs just kind of twisted and kind of shown how ridiculous they are. So we've watched, I don't know, I've probably watched 6 or 7 episodes. So there are more to go. But I'd really recommend it if you think that kind of thing is funny. That's what I'm all into this week. And that makes sense that I'm singing because I just talked about a musical. Okay. I have a couple whips, things I'm working on. One of them I showed a couple videos ago I had started, called The Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom by Not Forgotten Farm. He is rounding the corner towards being done. I think he's adorable. I'm sorry these aren't ironed. I can't find my iron. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I don't know if when the house was being refurbished, if it got picked up and moved. I don't know. So I have another one on order. So I have wrinkly things. Deal with it. Deal with the wrinkles. So the Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom is almost done. It's been super fun to stitch. I love the little cat. I love the little pumpkin head man. And I do carry that in my shop. But I'm out right now. I have more on the way. But I have a lot of Not Forgotten Farm patterns. They're really cute and fun and quirky and prim. And silly. Just love them. Okay. Another thing that I'm working on, and I worked on this weekend some, is my Village of Hawk Run Hollow. So here. Bum, 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 bum. So look I'm done with square 9, which is the people, with horses and the fountain. And then I've started the next square right there, Apple Orchard Farm. So it's going to be a little barn with horses in it. And it's got some trees in a fence up above and some apples on the side. The verse is actually done. So the 3 on the bottom, the 3 on the bottom, there's no verse on it. There are just 3 different pictures. So I'm rounding the corner, and this is the part of a project where I love because I can see the finish line. This chart is also still available. I've had so much fun with this project. I have wanted to stitch these for years. And always thought it's such a big project. It's going to be kind of a slog to try to get through that. It's a lot of stitching, but you know what? Super fun. Ladies and gentlemen. Hey. Don't scare off your friends. Oh, sorry, Briar. There are cats everywhere. So I've enjoyed this project a ton. And it's cool having each little square and kind of getting to know that square. And when you're done with it, and you're on to the next. And I think it's going to be gorgeous when it's framed. I will be getting this done soon, I think. I think this is my favorite square so far, that City Hall. I just think that house is so cool, or the City Hall. It's really, really neat. But there's just lots of little surprises in this one, and I love that kind of a sampler. Kathy's so talented. So there are lots of other Hawk Run patterns. I think I'm going to start another one when I finish this one, and it might be the houses of Hawk Run Hollow. But I'm also thinking about maybe the shores. We'll see. Where did I put the Reverend? One of the things that Harrison said is he said maybe the Reverend Gordon Squashbottom, we think it's the Pumpkin Man, but it's actually the cat. So that's kind of the theory we're going with now, is the Reverend is actually the cat. Create your own reality, right? Okay, Grumpy says she's back in. So then the thing that I finished, I just kind of was digging through my pile of things, and I was like, I need to just finish this. This is like a weekend and I'll be done kind of thing. And so I finished Agnes Platt by Blackbird Designs. And here it is. And there is no border that wraps around the bottom. This is just, I'll show you the original in just a second. So that's all done. Now, I made a mistake here and put this in the wrong spot. So that was actually supposed to be, the tree and the bee skep were supposed to be even with the bottom there. And I didn't manage that. I managed putting it in the wrong spot. So then underneath I put 2019 Teresa V. And Agnes Platt's name is there around the little thing right there. And so this one is really, really pretty. It was fun to do. I just used miscellaneous colors. I didn't necessarily go by what the sampler chart called for. This is a pattern that is still available. It was a Loose Feathers chart from 2013. This is what the original sampler looked like. Now you will notice that this sampler looks square and mine looked rectangle. So what would happen sometimes is these girls would stitch on linen where the warp and the weft threads were different counts. So it might be 32 threads per inch going up, but 38 side to side. And so you either end up with squashed down cross stitches or tall and skinny cross stitches, which is what happened here. And so that's why hers looks more square. You can't really get uneven weave fabric easily anymore. I still have some from my shop. Norden Crafts used to carry it, but I don't know if anybody's carrying that these days. So that's the original. I don't think they show how it looks finished in here. There are some close-ups of the original. I think it's really, really neat. I don't know what I stitched it on, just some kind of coffee or tea dyed something. Now this pattern also comes with this little pincushion and then this little sampler. So you get 3 patterns in this booklet. I think that's really cute, and I'm almost like, maybe I should stitch that one too, because I like that little house. So there's what the cover looks like. It's Agnes Platt. I have it in stock right now. I'm sure it will sell out, but I'll get more. And so that's it, 2013. And you know, with these, we don't know how long they're going to be around. Okay, I did not get anything framed or finished since the last time. I have things to do that too, and I just need to get my button gear and get that done. All right, where am I at now? Okay. Oh, Stash Flash. So I haven't done that yet today. So I didn't really get much for Stash lately. I did, like I said, we went to TJ Maxx yesterday and we helped Harrison get some, you know, new sheets and some things for his apartment and some like socks and things just so he can go live in Colorado. And while we were there, you know, you just see things that you're like, oh, I like that. This is one of them. And it is a Kate Spade notebook that's really nice and heavy. And I love that it's got the old, you know, cursive guide on the front. And these are not actual paper clips. They're just, you know, like, oh, is it raised? No, that was just the bag. So that's that. There's what it looks like. Dot your I's and cross your T's. And it was $10, but the list price on it was $18. So if you found this like somewhere else, it'd be $18. That was $10 at TJ Maxx. They only had one. I thought it was very cute. I use notebooks all the time for like making to-do lists and plans and things like that. And then the other thing I found there that was super cool was this Lawson's sewing tin. And that's what it looks like. I thought it was really cute. It's like almost like an army, you know, like an army, I don't know what you'd call it, tin. So it does have a hinged lid, and it's got this in the top, but then it's got, I can't even see, sections on the inside, divider sections on the inside. And so this would be a great thing for me to keep either in the kitchen or out in the living room for when I'm stitching, to just put supplies in. And that was $14.99. I did look this company up to see if I could find where you guys could get one of these. The company is called Robely, R-O-B-E-L-Y. And I looked at their website. It's robely.com, R-O-B-E-L-Y.com. And they only do wholesale. And but I found it at TJ Maxx, and so if you have a local TJ Maxx, you could try right now to see if they've got this too. It's very heavy. I feel like it was kind of a bargain. If they had two, Jen, I would have bought you one. They had one. I'll look again next time I go. Maybe they had one. Maybe they had one in the back. Okay. Let's talk about Sampler September, which is coming up. The fall always makes me just want to hunker down and stitch. And I feel like it's got that kind of back to school vibe, you know, where you're kind of buckling down and getting some things done. And I love autumn, and it makes me feel very, I like the idea of the 1800s autumn. And so I thought it would be fun to dedicate the month of September to samplers. And so I'm calling it Sampler September, and y'all are welcome to participate in it. I'm participating whether you guys do or not. And so on Instagram, you can use hashtag Sampler September to talk about whatever you want with samplers. My main challenge is for everybody to start a sampler. It doesn't have to be a reproduction sampler, but I think it would be cool if it was a reproduction sampler. But even whether it could be something just new, like by Plum Street Samplers or by With Thy Needle and Thread or whatever. But to start a sampler during September and then work on samplers during September. It starts this Sunday, September 1st. And if you'd like, go to my website. The address is below. And in the bottom corner of my website, there is this bottom corner, the right bottom corner, whatever that is to you. There's a little box at the bottom where you can sign up for my newsletter. And in September, I'm going to send out one newsletter a week. Typically, I try to go a few weeks between newsletters. But this one will be kind of a weekly update, a weekly special, something that you're going to get in with your order. And so I'm going to be doing, I've got a free reproduction sampler chart that you'll get with each order. I do videos and share some of my antiques, some of my reproductions, show some of the books that I really like about antique samplers, have specials, talk just about samplers in general, like give you little sampler lessons and things. And so I'm just dedicating the month of September to samplers. I think they're really gaining in popularity. I think that's awesome. I believe that samplers are one of those things that once you start, you're like, oh, now I see. Because they're just fun to stitch. And they're so pretty. And you can find all different styles, all different colors from different centuries. You can find things that are reproductions or things that just look like reproductions. And they just never go out of style. I've never wanted to give away any of my samplers. I've given away, you know, kind of cutesy things where it's like I stitched something and then after, 15 or 20 years, you're like, oof, that looks totally 1992. I don't get tired of the samplers. You just don't. They're kind of timeless. And I don't know how they did it. How did those Squirrel Girls do it? They just hit on something special. So I hope you join along. Look for a video this coming Sunday, the 1st, for the start of Sampler September. All right, I'm going to talk about 3 things in my shop, and then I'm going to cut y'all loose. I finally got a box this weekend from Marjorie Massey. And I think I've mentioned her on here before, but I haven't really talked about her charts because I got them in and they sold out immediately. And I placed another big order, I don't know, like maybe a month ago. And she was out of the country, and then she came back, and then she went to her printer, and there was some problem with the paper where she wasn't happy with the quality of it. So they had to get that all worked out, and then I finally got my charts. Woohoo! So Marjorie Massey is a French designer, and so I get these directly from her. She does have a Facebook page, so if you look at Marjorie Massey on Facebook, you'll find her. She's very, very sweet, very talented lady. The charts really just come with a like computerized version of what the pattern is. And so you don't necessarily get to see the picture of like what a stitched something looks like. They're gorgeous, all stitched up. And you can see some of them on her Facebook page, and other people, have them on blogs and things. The charts are great. She's really got a nice style. It's a lot of it is just one color or maybe two colors, and so you can kind of customize them to the colors that you like. They've been terribly popular. I'm not kidding you when I say some of these charts raced out of here like the first time. So I tried to really stock up this time. We'll see. I'm sure I'll be placing an order again soon. I also want to talk about Stacy Nash. In my quest to provide everybody with the opportunity to see some of these great older charts by designers who've been around for a little while, I've started to flush out. I did Chessie and Me last month, where I got in oodles of old Chessie and Me, and I've got more on the way. And then Stacy Nash, recently I've been bulking up on hers. I've got one more order from her that I'm waiting for, but right now I think I have 104 different things in the Stacy Nash category on my website. She's got a lot of great designs. She's got a really cool prim style. She does some reproductions. She always has finishing instructions with the charts where it's like a needle book or a pincushion or whatever, and they're very easy to follow. She just has a great style and a great eye for simple design. One of the things that I really like are these little booklets of hers, and I used to carry them in my shop. I forgot about them, but then I was like, oh, hey, wait a minute, I remember those books. So I asked her if they were still available, and they are, and so I got a number of these books in. So you can't get these from the distributor. If you have a shop, you can get them directly from Stacy herself. They're really, really cool because they come, oh, is that going to slide off? Well, I'll put it back on. They come with a pretty little ribbon around the book. And then it's just got this kind of, clear vellum type cover. And it's got different, you get a number of different projects in the book with pictures and notes and stories and really, really cute stuff. And it's just fun to see things kind of put together in this kind of a format. This one is called Good Tidings. I've got some Halloween ones, some kind of generic ones, and some Christmas ones, I think. But I'll keep getting those in. Y'all are... I ran out of some of these right away, too, where people hadn't seen them before. They've been around for a while. I don't know if she says how long this one's been out. She doesn't. But Stacy really is just one of the sweetest ladies. And her daughter's kind of dipping her toe into the stitchy world, too. The good news is that pretty soon, with this order from Stacy, I'm getting in some more waxers. And starting September 1st, you can get waxers again. I'm hoping that the weather will be cool enough that the waxers will survive in the mail. Remember the strawberries? I don't know if you remember the strawberries that I brought back from market in February or in March. There were red ones and then just plain beeswax colored strawberries. There are black strawberries. She's sending me black strawberries, which you might think like, that's weird. No, it's spooky. I love spooky. I love spooky stitching, like a little bit grim, a little bit prim, and they're super cool. So those are on the way. And then there are some owl waxers too that are so cool in black and then regular, I think. So the waxers are going to be up shortly. I'll put an announcement up on the website when they are available again. It really was so bloody hot here in August. I could just choke somebody. It was hot. And it's crazy because I'm from North Dakota. So like you think, you know the South is hot. You know it's hot. But after a while, like of, just relentless heat and heat and heat, if we have a day where it's like 85, I'm like, gosh, it's really nice out today. And then I'll look and it's 85 and it's like 85 used to be so hot. But it just has been hot and humid and I'm ready for fall. Send those waxers out. The last little bit of news from my shop is the fundraiser. It's going very well. We've raised just under $5,000 so far, which is super cool. The goal was $7,000. So I was going to do the fundraiser until September 1st. I still have about 150 things in the fundraising section of my website. There's going to be a link in the top left corner. If you go to my website, there's a link of a woman with a cat. And you can go straight to the fundraiser page. And just, if you're going to buy something anyway, go pick something out from the fundraiser page. Everything there was donated by stitchers or designers. And so the money goes to the shelter for those items. This is to help them pay for the adoption weekend that they had last month in celebration of Quinn, a teenager from Hattiesburg who passed away 5 years ago. 6 years ago? 7 years ago. Was it 7 years ago? 2013. So I think Ginny originally said that, 7,000 was kind of the goal. 10,000 was a stretch goal, and I said, oh, I didn't know if we were going to be able to do that, but let's see if we can. I'm going to keep listing stuff, and this week I'm really going to hit it hard and heavy because I still have a whole tub in my living room of things that people have donated. Anything that's left after the sale, I'm going to let things just kind of get purchased up and out of there so I can delete them, but then we'll do another fundraiser in a number of months or whatever. So I'll hang on to any things that you guys have sent me that haven't made it up yet. It's been super fun to look through and see what people have donated. I had some Prairie Schooler Santas come last week that were Santas 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, I think, in the Santa series. So back from she wasn't even numbering them yet. That's how old they were. I had some Prairie Moon charts come in, and one of them was, what was it? The Ghoul School? The Ghoul School? I don't know. It was some skeletons. And I looked some of these up on eBay to see, because I know some of these charts just go for a crazy amount of money. And I looked that one up at what it had sold at. And most recently, that chart had sold for $156. So I listed it at, I think $85, and it sold in 2 hours. All of this money goes to the shelter, so it's a super good cause. Some of the items you get a good deal. Some of the items are things that are harder to find, and I still try to undercut what you'd pay if you found it on a resale site or eBay or Etsy. I've had some primitive needle things come in, just some out of print things, some out of print Blackbird designs. That stuff tends to go quick, so check on it every day because I post things at different times of the day, but you see those old things that people are really looking for go quick. And I just thank you, everybody who has donated and everybody who has purchased something. I just think it's really neat that a community can come together and really make such a big difference for a very deserving local nonprofit organization like the shelter. That's all I've got for this week. What time is it? It's 1:10. I got to pack orders for the rest of the day. I gave Graham the day off. Graham is working, though, pretty much 5 days a week. He's been helping me dye fabric, and he does a very good job. He kind of likes the ironing part of it. So we got to get that. We got to get that new iron, and it's really fun to spend time with him too. He really is getting to where he has opinions about products and has ideas for how we could do things better. His plan right now, however, is to look at going to trade school to become an electrician. He's 22, and he just would like to make kind of some more firm goals as far as his future is concerned. So I don't know how much longer he'll be helping me out, in which case I may have to just try to go into the community and see if I can hire a person or two to come help me here so I can get some help because you guys keep me so busy. And then Harrison leaves Sunday for Denver. He's going to go to grad school to study counseling, and he's very excited about it. He actually will be counseling people starting in January. So this first semester, I think he's got some classes that are introductory classes onto what to do and getting started in grad school. And then January, he's sitting in front of people and helping them with their problems. So they are supervised. They wear something in their ear, and there's a two-way mirror or a one-way mirror so that a faculty member or professional can sit and watch the session and make sure that everything is appropriate and is going okay. So he's excited about that. He's excited about new adventures. He found a great place to live. He's a mile from campus. He's already looking at the restaurants in the area and trying to figure out what kinds of fun things he can do. I know he's going to have a great time. We have been talking about the idea that he's going to go back to winter, and he has spent half his life here and he spent half his life up north. So he's going to, he was like, well, what kind of boots do I get? And what kind of coats do I get? And he said, well, I have a coat. And we looked at it. I was like, that's not a proper winter coat. So we're looking at getting him a proper winter coat so he will be warm enough. The 2 cats are going with him, so that we will have 6 cats in the house. We'll be down to 6. And it's going to seem, I'm really going to miss little Peaches. He's very funny and silly. And even though he annoys the other cats, he's very funny and very sweet and cuddly. And he sleeps with me a lot of nights. So I really will miss that little guy. And of course I will miss Harrison. You think you have this child, and I remember, being in married student housing and playing with this little kid, and we were playing this game where he was peeking his little face in the door. He would say, hello, and I'd say, hello, and he'd giggle and close the door, and he'd do it again. So we were just playing that little game, and I just remember at that moment thinking, someday this little person will leave, and how sad that would be. And we've had him an extra 10 years. He's 28 years old, and he's kind of lived home off and on since he, left home at 18 to go to school. And, you know, he's had some adventures here too, but he's ready to move on to the next stage. And so we really support him in that, and we will be sorry not to see him every day. And, but really, really excited for his future. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I will see you in a few days on the 1st for Sampler September. And until that time, bye.